The player part 2 ending, part 1 down below. It's not how she left it. For one, it was a god-awful mess in her areas. I've cleaned all of that, after taking pics to remind me how bad it was. And packed, moved all of her stuff to either the garage or her walk-in closet. Still have a lot to do though. 10 years worth of accumulated crap takes a while. Think I'll rearrange all of the furniture. Really should be studying though. Back to doing better this morning. I keep reminding myself it has only been 3 weeks and I will still have down days ahead. I guess. I know I don't have as hard of a row to hoe as many do on these boards. I did, mostly, learn my lesson before with the first XW, the pathological liar, cheater. I think I'm only having trouble now because this one wasn't anything like the first wife on the inside. Both gorgeous on the outside. She walked like she talked for the entire time up until 3 weeks ago. After tons of checking, I can't find any evidence of an affair. The end result is still the same, but it has been harder to deal with for some reason. I guess my incessant need to understand everything around me. Sometimes there is no understanding, and that is hard for me to accept. At least with the first one, I had massive amounts of self-righteous anger to keep me going at times. I never even looked back. This time I have very little anger, just sadness and pity. Those aren't nearly as motivating. Yesterday was just tougher than I expected with nothing to do around here. I stayed busy and got through it. I really don't think it will take me long to fully move on, other than my brief dip into low self-esteem and thoroughly shaken confidence. After she left and caught me by surprise. I know who and what I am, and I'm happy with that. Hard-won lessons from my first foray into marriage. It will take me longer to quit feeling like an idiot for being fooled than it will to get over her. I quit thinking about what she always claimed to believe in and how she has actually acted over the years. That observation was spot on when viewed in that light. You can teach an ill-tempered parrot to say I love you over and over. But that doesn't mean the little guy won't snip your finger off and fly away if given the opportunity. Lesson learned. Less about how they talk than about how they walk, although for many years, other than that first one, she walked exactly like she talked. I guess that goes back to our discussion of people trying to be something they are not, hoping to fake it until they make it. Definitely going to make me much more gun-shy in the future. Not sure if there is any way around that. She did text me last night before I went out. She said she just wanted to tell me hello and hoped I had a good visit with my family. That she had a good visit with hers. And to have a good night. I didn't respond for over an hour. I started not to respond at all. Then I thought about it for a bit and came up with 2 possible responses. Response A, you know what would be a good night for me? If a frozen turd from the International Space Station falls out of the sky and strikes you in the forehead at 26,000 miles per hour, that would just be great. Response B, okay. After much inner debating, I went with response B. Days later, well, I have come to realize this white knight syndrome I suffer from leads me to pick broken people. I try to protect them, fix them, make them better than they were before I found them, and hope they live by example. My example. Not MILs or anyone else. A sad, vulnerable, beautiful woman seems to be my kryptonite. I am always at least partially successful. The first XW was a horrible liar when I met her. Now she lies as well as the best used car salesman I have ever seen. The current STBXW didn't even have a high school education when I met her. Now she's got her JED. Some college, a hunger for reading, writing, expert computer skills, and a vastly improved vocabulary. Both claim to follow the same code as I do in life. Relationships. Neither came anywhere close when all was said and done. Is it too much to ask for honor and integrity? Are my protective instincts actually bringing this down on myself? Don't get me wrong, I have dated many women, some who weren't broken. Some who were. The ones that weren't, we got along well for a while, then amicably went our separate ways. The spark just didn't last long. The other broken ones, it felt like trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. No matter how much we might have cared for each other, something was just off, so I let them go. I know I am thoroughly tired of my self-imposed DIY projects. They seem to blow up in my face. It doesn't help that those kinds seem to gravitate to me, or that I have as much trouble turning them away as I would a starving dog. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I get flea-bitten every now and then. I don't want to lose my honor and compassion, but I need to find a way to locate women who aren't out to take advantage of those qualities, or the money I generally earn, or at least a better way of weeding them out. I have a tendency to take people at their word until they give me a reason not to. Even then, I'm apparently bad about giving second chances. Never more than that, but it seems that is bad enough. For me, time to go digging through her mess. Yes, it extended to the most lackadaisical filing system I have ever seen. If you can call shoving everything randomly into a drawer or 3 a filing system. Hopefully I can find it. If not, maybe they can pull it up there since it is the same place we filed initially. I had a pleasant lunch date yesterday with one of my aforementioned ex-girlfriends that wasn't broken and who parted on good terms, so I'm doing well. Still not really looking for anything with anyone, but the conversation and companionship was pleasant. I'm determined to go back to school next semester, something I have put off and regretted for the last 20+ years because I felt obligated to provide for my family as best I could, mostly very successfully money-wise. Each time something has happened to set me back, but I always get up again. Owned a successful architectural design company for a number of years before the building industry crashed. Got into IT and was successful until the company went out of business. Starting over gets old, but I have taken this as a sign that now is the right time to focus on me for a change. Turns out I don't need it. The ladies there were very helpful. I actually had more paperwork than is needed. However, the ones that are required we both need to sign and have notarized. Luckily, we can do it there. So, I have a date with her Thursday morning, her next day off, to meet at my house and drive up there to sign and file. I was actually smiling when I called her to set it up. She sounded happy too. I will never take her back or invest any other emotion in her. But it is nice that we can both get along and get this done. I hope nothing changes that. I have you folks to thank for helping me get past my hurt and anger. Also, for helping me realize that I brought a lot of this down on myself through my predilections for broken, needy women. I really do wish her well and hold no ill feelings. So far, she has kept her word about making this as easy and inexpensive as possible. She's still been paying her part of the bills here as well as her half of the divorce costs. As long as she continues to treat me honorably, I will do the same. Since I am not hoping for or that she'll change her mind, it is actually pretty easy to stay upbeat about the whole thing. I'm sure I'll still have the occasional down moment, but I am equally sure it will pass. Well, today is supposed to be the day I file. STBX number 2 is supposed to meet me in a few hours so we can both sign and have the documents notarized. I have to pay the filing fee today since she doesn't get paid until tomorrow. She is supposed to pay me back for that and for her share of the bills tomorrow morning. I am the one that offered that arrangement, just so I could get it filed and done. There is a possible ice storm coming late tonight, tomorrow. So if I don't get this process started today, it might be a week or two. I have no desire to put it off since my personal ethics keep me from doing anything while still married. And I have a date tonight. I just hope she shows this morning so we can get this over with. She did indeed show up this morning. I drove us both to the courthouse where the helpful lady that works there notarized the papers after we signed them. I admit I was shaking a bit so it was hard to write, but when I watched her signing, she was shaking even harder and looked like she was about to cry. She has kept her word. She doesn't want anything from me. All she wants is what she came into the relationship with. I will likely give her a few more things she just hasn't thought of yet. She is even going to pay me a small amount per month for the next 3 years to help while I go back to school. All of this is in the paperwork she read through and signed. Other than the paperwork says we have already divided everything we are going to. But in reality, a lot of her stuff is still at my house. She knows I won't keep it from her. I really couldn't ask for a better outcome. Well, other than to not have been walked out on in the first place. Still, given that there is no taking that painful event back, everything worked out well. I have now filed and we have a court date in early February. There we will both be asked by a judge if we agree to what we signed. It is primarily a formality, and that will be that. I'll have one more piece of paper to fill out and send to the state on that day. This divorce is going way easier and infinitely cheaper than the last one. It kind of makes me nervous. She had a couple of hours to kill before she had to go to work. So I let her hang out at my house and we watched one of the shows we liked that I had recorded the other night on the DVR. The conversation and the laughter were pleasant, even if there was a bittersweet undertone to it all. I know I was a bit sad, but not in a bad way. She appeared that way too. Either way, I am glad that we can both move on, and that, somehow, we didn't make enemies of each other in the process. She and I both know there will be no coming back after this, but we don't have to hate each other to go forward. I have to admit, I am amazed it has worked out this way. My only frame of reference was my first divorce. That one she not only lied and cheated continually, but she also took my house, my dog, half of my money, and the vast majority of my time with my kids. Courts here heavily slanted pro-mom back then. It was devastating and took years of me staying steadfast for the truth to come out and karma to catch up with her. The kids still love her, but they know she is a mean-spirited, compulsive liar, and about her affairs when they were little. She is now nearly 3 times the size she was when we were together. I saw a pic a month or so ago and didn't know who it was. I was told, "That's XW1. I replied with, "Wow, are you sure that isn't some woman who ate XW1? She lives in a trailer on her in-laws' property, not 20 yards from their house. She lost the 2-story house I had built for us myself years ago for not paying the mortgage she had taken out on it. Her current hubby has become a raging alcoholic. I wonder why. I guess it is true. The best revenge is living well and being happy, which I usually am, and will be again. Did I mention I have a date tonight?" A day later, I had a good time. With a possible ice storm coming and there weren't as many people as possible out, but we had a good time talking, drinking, singing, and shooting pool. Everybody in the place made me feel very welcome. My date and I have a bit of history, but we hadn't seen each other in 12 years or so. It was great catching up. She too is dealing with a WS and a 3-year-old, so we laughed and commiserated a bit about our situations. She acted disbelieving that mine had just walked out, and told me, what the hell was she thinking? There are women who would kill to have what she had. That made me laugh and feel better. She is determined to introduce me to some of her single friends. Who am I to say no? I'm still not ready to do anything until the gavel hits in early February, just my personal code, idiotic as it might be. But I don't see anything wrong with forming a queue. Maybe I should get one of those ticker things where you take a number. Now serving number 47. I'm not at the place where I really believe the attention I have received or the things some of them have said, even though they did make me feel better about myself. Not yet anyway. Does it make any sense? I guess I still doubt myself a bit, although my self-esteem is much improved over a month ago. It is 1 month to the day that she left, so I guess it is to be expected. Had a bit of a setback last night, I guess. Yesterday morning she called because she had a blowout on her way to work. It had started sleeting and she asked if I could come pick her up and take her to work. I made my way through the sleet and freezing rain to a church where she had limped her car to. I picked her up and took her to work and she paid me part of what she owed me this month. The rest she said she needed to hold off on until she could get a new tire. I agreed. The weather was supposed to continue getting worse. Being the dumb guy I am, I offered to pick her up from work later and let her stay at the house overnight. If she couldn't get a ride back to wherever that she is staying, she said she would let me know. Well, last night I got a cryptic text that she had arranged for somewhere else to stay last night and not to worry. In other words, she was going to go home with some other man and stay with him overnight instead of with me. I didn't think it was possible, but it tore my heart out all over again. I went off. She admitted it was with a co-worker of the male persuasion, but that she wasn't doing anything wrong and I was reading things into it. I countered with that was bull crap. I demanded that she come clean for once and admit that she had fallen for some other man and that is why she left. She continued to deny it, but her story changed from her male friend inviting her to stay to my co-worker's mother took pity on me and offered me a place to stay and that I have turned it into something ugly and sordid. Anyone else notice the story shifting going on there? And putting it on me because I am thinking what anyone in my shoes would think. She would think the same thing if the roles were reversed. Also, suddenly it is this attitude of yours that is a large reason I left. She then had the audacity to claim she never broke her vows. My jaw dropped open. I said, if you never broke your vows, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Not only that, but this is also the second time you have broken them. Remember, I'm pretty sure just walking out on your spouse and telling them I don't love you anymore is breaking pretty much all of the marriage vows. I pointed out how everything she has done is straight out of the cheater's playbook, and asked her, again, if she wasn't doing anything wrong. Why does she refuse to go to any kind of counseling? Even I see. It seems to me someone would only act that way if they know they are doing wrong and don't want anyone else to point it out to them. This caused her to STFU and just respond with good night. I replied that I have a mailbox and she can mail me the money she owes me. Other than that, I don't want to hear from her at all until she gets her own place. At which point she can get her crap out of my house. Was real tempted to put it out at the road last night. The papers she signed the day before say she already had everything from the house. But that is a terrible kind of thing to do, and just isn't in me. I am through being nice to her. She just uses it to hurt me over and over. She knew damn well what that initial text would do to me. I have no idea why I let it bother me, but it did. She is a piece of crap and I want no part of her or anyone like her. I am going full NC other than letting her get her junk, and the last time I have to see her in February. When the divorce is final, all she had to do was treat me like she would want to be treated. But no, she takes too much pleasure in jerking my chain and trying to act like she is the victim. That is all I am taking of that. I did everything wrong. The damnable thing is, I knew it before I did it. I hadn't realized I still cared that much, so I told myself that since I won't go for R with her ever anyway, it was okay to help her. Wrong. She still knew exactly what buttons to push. Felt almost like getting betrayed all over again. Then I kept trying to point out where she is screwed in the head. Wrong. Doesn't work on them. Just made me feel like I was slamming my own head into a wall. The only thing I did right was not let her try to shift blame or rewrite history. Of course, I should have never been talking in the first place. Weeks later, well, I got more reinforcement that her leaving is a good thing. Yesterday I found out that a bill, in her name, hasn't been paid in probably a year. She had told me a month ago that she was going to pay some on it, then catch it up. That was obviously not what she did. I sent her a text asking if she had paid any on it like she said. She said, no, my checks have been too small to pay anything on it after paying the other bills I still owe. My last check on the 6th was only X amount. Keep in mind, she just got promoted to GM where she works, which came with a nice raise. So, when she told me that, I decided to check, don't ask how. I won't say. I found out her last check was quite a bit bigger than she was claiming. I told her she was lying, and why lie about something so stupid? I don't care if she keeps more out for herself as long as she takes care of her responsibilities. I also pointed out that lying about something so inconsequential was very similar to what my first ex does. And did, all the time. She should be ashamed. She didn't know I actually knew exactly how much it was, so she kept digging the hole even deeper. She said, I am not lying. I can show you a pay stub to prove it. I sighed and said, okay. You can probably tell I've played this particular game far more often than I've ever cared to. Sure enough, she sent a picture of one of her pay stubs showing the lesser amount, with all of the account information blacked out, as well as the date it was issued. I laughed and pointed that out. She said, I printed these and blacked out the account info a few days ago when I had to carry my most recent pay stubs to the health department. I sighed again. You blacked out the date too. Pretty sure they want to see that so they know they are recent pay stubs. I then said, you made X amount on your last check, quite a bit higher than that one you are trying to feed me. Once again, I do not care about you keeping more out for yourself as long as you take care of your responsibilities. I just don't understand why you keep insisting on lying about it. I don't deserve that. You really aren't the girl I knew, or thought I knew. Then, and pay attention, this is what liars, cheaters do. She changed her story too. If that is the case, I must have printed these out and went to the health department before the 6th. Or maybe I didn't print out the most recent one like I thought I had. What the hell? She didn't remember either A, when she printed them out and went to the health department, or B, she pulled up her payroll on the company computer sometime this week like she originally claimed, and didn't see or print out the one for the 6th. She only gets 1 or 2 days off per week, usually just one these days since her promotion. So it is very unlikely she doesn't remember what day she ran an unusual errand, like going to the health department. Once again, I sighed and said, definitely a first ex kind of thing to do. They hate each other. So, why were the dates blacked out again? Right, there is absolutely no logical reason for them to be. Once again, stop, please. You are just embarrassing yourself. That was the last thing said. She knows how pathological my first wife was, and how I hated being lied to continually. She used to deride her for it worse than I did. I am not easy to lie to. You really need all of your facts to line up to do it successfully. So, if you are going to try, I would think they would only do it on something important. But no, they lie about the dumbest things. It is exasperating. Her doing that means, in my experience, which is, unfortunately, a lot, that she has been lying to me about most everything from the beginning. She has lied so much that it has become a habit. That is why they lie about stupid things that don't make a difference one way or another. Habit, pure and simple. I do have a lot of experience with this. I find that very sad. Anyone who has been paying attention will also note that I didn't bother asking something obvious. Why was she at the health department and needing to show them recent pay stubs? There are only 3 reasons, in this area, for a woman without kids to do so. 1. Getting a checkup on a pregnancy. 2. Getting checked for STDs. 3. Getting on birth control. Any of those reasons, along with the stupid lie, just cements in my mind that I don't have feelings for anyone. I am not having an affair. And I've kept my vows are all complete, and total bull crap, as I suspected all along. It doesn't change anything, really, other than to prove my perception and intuition were on the money. It is indeed part of the cheater's script to make the one cheated on feel like they are totally off their rocker. And the cheater is totally innocent in all things and should be pitied for having to put up with such a suspicious, controlling spouse. It also proves she was attempting to keep me close for plan B by trying to stay friendly and make me think she wasn't sleeping with anyone yet. Even though she knows I am about the last person that would go for R once she walked out. I guess she was thinking maybe she could play lost innocent victim enough down the road to make me change my mind. White knight syndrome kryptonite. I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't forgive anyone more than once. Really all she has done is hurt herself and make me damn glad she is gone. Today I am feeling like I dodged another bullet. I can't help but see her the same as my first XW now, and probably winding up in similar circumstances. Chain smoking in a trailer somewhere, too large to get off the couch, and wondering why the whole universe keeps taking a dump on her. Karma, causality, call it what you will. It's a B no matter where she ends up. I will still go to bed each night knowing I am an honorable man who did the best he could for those he cares about and treated others like he would want to be treated. She, and those like her, can all go to hell. They aren't taking me with them, and I now know I can't raise them up and make them into something they aren't. Good riddance. I did text her one last time. I told her to bring some packing tape and boxes, so that I can clear out her stuff from my walk-in closet and put it in the garage. I don't want her in my house ever again. It gives the dog abandonment issues. I could just put it out there anyway, but much of it will get messed up if I do. I wouldn't feel right about that. I told her to let me know when she is bringing them so that I can make sure I am not here. I have no desire to see her. She can leave the stuff on the porch. If I don't hear anything back, I will just throw it out there anyway. I really need the walk-in closet now for other things. I'll have to assume she doesn't care about it. If it isn't gone by the time D is final, I will donate most of it to Goodwill and dispose of the remainder. I no longer think I can affect change in someone else. Whether it is through words or deeds, not anymore. That is why I played out enough rope in that last conversation to show even a dumb person what he was really dealing with. As you can see, she blithely wrapped it around her neck and jumped. Didn't leave a whole lot of room for misinterpretation on my part, did it? It just confirmed that I should never have put myself in this situation to begin with. I also now keep a quote in mind at all times. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. I won't make any oaths this time that I won't fall for it again. Some of them are excellent chameleons, but I will promise myself to remain awake and aware as best I can. To weed out the doppelgangers, I really need to come up with some type of dating stress test. I'm not real sure how to simulate minor adversity in a dating situation, but it would be nice to be able to spot someone's true character before making any commitments. Azteca pointed out that is often the only time you see someone's true self. I know STBXW2 maintained a fairly perfect facade for 7 years. It was only when things got slightly tougher that it cracked again. Whether she maintained that because she genuinely wanted to be that person, like fake it till you make it, or whether it was because she didn't have any opportunity otherwise, I will never know. It doesn't matter. She did show me who she was after that first year and I took her back. Anything after that is my fault for letting that elephant get swept under the rug. I guess I'll just have to settle for much longer courtships in the future and keep my eyes more open than my ears. Well, I had to meet with STBXW2 this morning to get the rest of the money she owes me. For some reason, the rocket scientist got a checking account without checks. Yeah, anyway, I made sure I was looking good, tight shirt showing off the cut physique, new jeans that make my back look good, etc. The first thing I saw when I went into her work was a grungy-looking pizza delivery dork talking to her. His voice trailed off and he quickly looked away and found something else to do. I grinned even bigger. Sometimes it is nice looking so intimidating. She was standing there with the money in her hand and giving me her sad look. I just smiled really big and said, "Hello." I took the money out of her hand as she gave me a sad hello back. I then said, "Thanks," with a big smile and turned my back on her and walked out the door. She looked even sadder and gave a sad "you're welcome" to my back as I was heading out the door. I'm guessing she was hoping to talk or see me sad too. Oh well, sorry to disappoint her. Not really. That went well. Now that I know what I am dealing with, I know how this game is played. I'm guessing the grass isn't looking so green anymore. Oh, well, I tried to tell her a month and a half ago. Too bad that I now know her leaving was a good thing. For me, anyway. I'm supposed to go out tonight with a very pretty 35-year-old. I am ready. After I caught STBX number 2 in that stupid lie last week, which confirmed to me that my suspicions were correct about an affair, I no longer feel compelled to keep my vows. She has freed me from them. Looking forward to tonight. The date got pushed back a night but went even better than I ever expected. She was great, confident with herself, intelligent, gorgeous. Nowhere close to needing a white knight to save her. We hit it off immediately. It was actually strange for me. It felt like we knew each other already. I don't know how to explain it. I just know I have been on many, many first dates in my life, including several in the last couple of months, but have never felt so at ease. On one, almost like meeting an old friend. An incredibly attractive old friend who keeps touching your hand and arm while staring deep in your eyes and laughing at all the right spots. One who can hold her own in an intellectual conversation. Wow, I was not expecting that. We ended up staying out all night and closing 2 different places down. I didn't drag myself home until after 3 a.m. at which point the obligatory "let me know when you make it home, okay?" The weather was bad, turned into a 2-hour conversation on everything. So, I only slept an hour that night. No bonding, which, contrary to pure code, I actually respect. I know I can be charming, sometimes really charming, but if I can talk them into a good time on the first meeting, I usually no longer want it. Don't get me wrong, there have been exceptions to that rule, but it is generally how I am. If everyone involved knows that is all it is, I don't have a problem with it. Most, though, do want more than just that, and I'm not willing to make that commitment or lie to them just for a good time. I don't barter for it. I have to admit, though, that I admire the ones confident enough in themselves to resist. After all of the touching and kissing going on, we both knew the desire was there. Once again, wow, she and I have talked and laughed many times over the last 2 days, and have another date planned for Thursday. I'm looking forward to it, but I am keeping my eyes, ears open. Surely, I can't be this lucky. No matter how it goes, I'm determined to stay true to myself. No more settling or saving. I will be careful and not jump into anything. Interestingly, she is acting, saying the same. She wasn't expecting this either. I have to admit, I've been grinning ear to ear. My 9th anniversary came and went yesterday with barely a thought, maybe just a smirk. She knows I am going to school, so not after my wallet, unless she is playing the long game. She bought as many drinks for me as I bought for her, and since she had beer and I had bourbon, I'm pretty sure I came out ahead on that. Definitely some limerence going on with both of us. So, I know the wits are the first thing to go. It's a heady and totally unexpected event, of course. I guess it always is. Still, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't enjoyable. The timing is a nice bonus. If nothing else, it will keep me from getting down over the next week or two. A week ago, I was wondering if I'd be okay on my anniversary, when it came and went with barely a notice. I had my answer. I won't rush, though. I'm going to watch and listen. I will not fall in the same traps again. So far, so good. Months later, everything is going very well. My D will be final a week from tomorrow. I am really looking forward to that. The girl I met on FB and I are still seeing each other and taking it a day at a time. We've been striving not to rush, but we do love each other. There's been a few flags and fitness tests, but nothing major in each one. After my obligatory I'm not okay with that. We discussed and she saw where I was coming from. It's kind of easy when your only expectations for staying in the relationship are to be treated like they would want to be treated. No double standards or cake eating. No fighting over the victim chair or racing around the drama triangle. She knows that no matter what I feel for her, I will walk away if that simple precept isn't met. And it really is that simple. I demonstrated that once with the most major red flag. I know it surprised her, but also made her respect me more. The boundary pushing came to a halt after that. The only time I've heard from the STBXW in the last month and a half was on her 30th birthday on January 4th. She had once again failed to get what she needed to just mail me my payment. So she texted and asked if she could drop it off in my mailbox. Her texts were long-worded fishing expeditions about what she had been up to with a smattering of wondering about me. No. I don't think it was a coincidence that she was doing all of this on her birthday. I only replied in one-word responses, yes, no, and okay. I ignored her commentary and any inquiries about me. She finally got the message that I didn't care what she was up to and I wasn't going to indulge her nosing into my life. So when she texted that the check was out there, I did say, okay, happy birthday. Thank you was the last thing I've heard from her. A week later, well, as of this morning I am once again a free, single man. Everything went smoothly in court. She didn't show, and I was out of there within 30 minutes. I won't say there wasn't a touch of sadness. It's hard to lose your best friend of 10 years. But for the most part I am excited for the future. She did finally come by and drop some boxes off Friday along with my check. She kept wanting to engage me in conversation, but I told her I just didn't care. She fired me as her friend when she fired me as her husband. She looked like she was about to cry, but she didn't. I gave her a few of her things that she needed at the time and she left. I also cut Facebook girl loose Friday night. She tried to claim one of her exes was her best friend. I had already asked her if she would be okay with my ex being my best friend. She said no. I said, then why would you expect me to be okay with it? She agreed, at the time. But sure enough, she started spouting it again Friday night when he showed up at the bar we were at. I just shook my head. It was obvious he was trying the oldest beta male game of all. Trying to friend himself out of the friend zone. Pathetic. She kept going off and calling me controlling. I laughed and started getting my things together to just leave her there. How's that for controlling? She then made the mistake of mouthing off about me to the third wheel sitting at the end of the table. So, I stepped around the table and asked him if he had something to say. He bowed all up, stuck his face inches from mine and started running his mouth about "You're damn right I do. She is my friend," and he didn't get any further. I taught him why it is a bad idea to stick your nose into a real man's relationship. I don't understand people who have no concept of treat others like you want to be treated, or honor, or respect. I have no use for those people. If he had just kept his mouth shut, I'd have let him have her, and he wouldn't have been picking his teeth up off the floor. I hate being forced into those kinds of situations. It makes me angry, but sometimes you have to let the caveman out in order to get respect. If you don't, you will be run over the rest of your life. You might all say I should have just walked away, and you would have a point. It is just not in me to do that when I have been disrespected so much. I would feel like a coward. She called me every name in the book later that night when I told her we were through, and that she just compounded her problem by setting up her ex to get his back beat. She too should have just kept her mouth shut and let me walk out the door instead of dragging him into it. She should have never allowed him to be around in the first place. I've been used to run off exes before, and I don't like it. She knew she was in the wrong but is totally incapable of admitting to anything when she has been drinking. I walked away and have ignored her entreaties for another chance since. I have no use for anyone even capable of that level of disrespect. She was trying to manipulate me to just sit there quietly like a good little beta. Knocking his teeth out was my message to him, not her. Me leaving her there was my message to her. I refused to be manipulated like that. I did like Conrad said. I told her what I was and wasn't okay with. Best friends with an ex. Not okay with. She initially agreed and then changed it up that night. Also, it's not that all of the women I meet are cheaters. I've been out with a lot of women in my life, most of whom did not cheat on me. The problem is me. I pick beautiful, broken women to fall for. I feel a nearly overpowering urge to help and protect them. I'm aware of this. That doesn't necessarily make them cheaters, either. But it does set me up in the protector corner of the drama triangle right off the bat. I don't want to be in it at all anymore. That's why this relationship lasted less than 2 months. I was watching for those signs. EX2 is the only woman I've ever dated that was more than 10 years younger than me. She pursued me, not the other way around. You have the total wrong idea with the stupid Lolita comment, which was a direct personal attack, and uncalled for. I'm not prejudiced. I've dated women older than me, younger than me, and the same age as me. It's the type that trips me up, beautiful but broken and hurt. But whatever, EX2 was not flirty or friends with her ex. EX2 was just immature. I just love women. Sue me. It's just I never felt that spark with any of the well-adjusted ones I've dated. Hell, I went out with one of them last night. Great girl, great job, beautiful, intelligent, has loved me for many years now. There was just no spark when we dated before. She didn't need me. I figured I'd take her out last night and see if there really should be something there. There might be, too soon to tell. It is something I know I need to work on. My comment: hope you guys learned something from this story. Sometimes it's okay to be divorced, and you might meet better people out there afterwards, so don't worry too much.